And now let's meet the teams, beginning with our guests from Lake Region. And we will start at guard with sophomore number 1, Jodner Eisenady. At small forward and guard, freshman number 3, Jalarius Edler. At guard, number 10, Brenton McKinley Allen. At center, sophomore number 14, Marquise Kendall. And finally for the Thunder, at forward, senior number 24, Andrew Lee. And now let's meet the starting lineup for your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Starting at guard, 6'4", junior, number 0, Malachi Hampton. At guard, 6'1", senior, number 3, Jamarick Hammond. At small forward, 6'5", junior, number 4, Isaiah Bannister-Doucette. At guard, 5'10", junior, number 12, Adia Charles. And finally for the Mustangs, at guard, 6'3", sophomore, number 21, Lucy Pepper. The head coach of the Thunder, Orinthia Simmons, and of the Mustangs, Mr. Jacino Lubin, the officials for tonight's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. For those of you here in the arena, we want to let you know that tonight's game is being live streamed on YouTube as well as the NFHS network. If you have friends and family back in Polk County, elsewhere in Apopka, or anywhere in the world, and they would like to tune in live, all they have to do is pull up the YouTube app on their favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device and search for the channel name Wekiva Sports to watch live. For those of you who are already doing just that, we want to welcome you to Mustang Arena. My name is Mark Parchi, the voice of the Mustangs and sports information director here at Wekiva. I am joined, as always, by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief, and we are ready to get things underway with Game 2 here in the 2021 Boys Basketball Preseason Classic.
Yeah, Lake Region with possession of the ball.
And that was a steal there by Brenton McKinley off of a rough grab by Isaiah Bannister for the Mustangs.
So this is the second of 2 games being played tonight. 4 in total make up the Wekiva Boys Basketball Preseason Classic. 2 games will be played on Thursday. That's Hammond going for the interception. And Izanati brings it off, but they're not able to stave off the turnover. On the other end, Hampton with the short field goal. And now Lake Region out of Eagle Lake in Polk County. They come down the other way and another turnover.
Yeah, Jamarius Edler dribbles the ball out of bounds. Mustangs ball.
So Wekiva with possession now. That's Hammond, the senior, who, by the way, Mark, seems like he's been playing for Wekiva and Coach Lubin for about 8 years now. But nonetheless, Wekiva coming off an 11-15 season, which I know might not seem like much, but that was off of a 3-22 season. As we get the rejection and another turnover, 4 turnovers and 5 possessions. Actually 6 possessions, a block shot. There's the first field goal attempt for Lake Region.
Well, the first clean one anyway.
Yes.
The previous one being blocked by Isaiah Bannister, although I think Malachi Hampton would have blocked it if Bannister didn't.
So a very rough start, Mark. I know we say rough in terms of no one scoring. As Prophet drains the rain.
4-3 from Malachi Hampton to put the Mustangs on the board.
And just as I say, a rough start, and not just in terms of the score, but just a lot of turnover, a lot of sloppy play, just a lot of looking incoherent type play. Prophet, who has a story in himself, drains a tray, and now he drives that lane, makes the C open, and makes the withdrawal.
Down the paint for 2.
It makes the withdrawal, and if you're new to Wekiva, Prophet is a story. He was a freshman last year, got caught up about midway through the season, and made a surprise presence. No one really expected him to do much being called up, and if memory serves me correct, Mark, he was averaging close to double digits throughout that first half of season as Hammond knocks the ball away, and the senior showing what he's supposed to, leadership, long pass to Bannister Doucette, fights off a couple of Thunder.
Barely avoids a 3-second
So Hammond will reset the offense. Another tray. Drain the rain from Hampton.
Hampton for 3 from Jamaric Hammond.
So 3 field goal attempts, 3 field goals made, 8-0, 2.5 minutes into the very first game of the 2021 season. Wekiva in the lead. And the reverse attempt, no good, brought down by Edler, out of bounds.
And that's the second block of the game for Bannister, and certainly some of the early jitters starting to fall off now, at least on Wekiva's side, but the Thunder want to talk this one over. Lake Legion calls their first timeout, 30-second timeout requested by the Thunder. We'll take the break with them. We'll be right back. Mustangs up 8 to a goose egg with 5:09 left in the first quarter.
Mustang Arena from southeast Apopka, Florida. The site, Wekiva and Lake Thunder playing the very first game preseason. Wekiva staking itself out to an 8-0 lead. Only 3 minutes into the game.
Neil, that was a comedy of errors right there. Yeah. Andrew Lee threw the ball away, and Isaiah Bannister should have just watched that one whiz by, and it would have gone out of bounds. But he stepped out himself.
So Wekiva on defense returns 6 players, and there's one of them, Hammond, the senior, gets the turnover and then turns it over himself. A short, flanking off the rim shot. Only 2 returning starters, but certainly they look like they can do some damage. They got 5 new players, and they certainly have made a difference here in the early going. The players are out on the court. This is the pass down over to Hammond from the corner, rims in and out. Bannister Doucette pulling out the Windex, and he will draw the first foul of the game in the season.
Thunder foul called against number 10, Brett McKinley. That is his first, the team's first. That was on the ground, so no shooting action for that. Yeah, and we're going to our first sub of the game, checking into the game for the Thunder, number 30, Trevin West.
So your 2 returning starters, Hammond, who's passing it in, and Hampton, who received the pass and drew a second consecutive foul.
Now Hampton draws the foul on the attempt to go to the line and shoot. The foul is called against number 10.
So
Brenton McKinley, that's now his second, the team's second.
So Coach Lubin described Jamaric Hammond, the 6'1" senior, who again seems like he's been playing for Coach Lubin and the Mustangs for 8 years, as the engine, and Malachi Hampton, number 0, who's now at the line, as the transmission. And then the other player that I want to point out is Vasfi Prophet. He drained the first 2 trays, gave Wekiva a 6-0 lead as the score remains 8-0. And he was a surprise last year when he got called up as another turnover, the 4th for Lake Thunder, all the way down to the other end, coast to coast.
Charles in transition for 2.
Charles with the withdrawal, 10-0. So getting back to Prophet, who got this engine going, started off the scoring with a pair of trays, came up last season from JV about halfway through the season, was a surprise as the tray is drained by West.
Trevin West picks up 3 for the Thunder to put them on the board.
And Prophet was a surprise during his time half a season last year, and he still really isn't well known throughout the Central Florida area. Lubin said he really expects him to be a surprise in terms of teams accounting for him and having to cover him as the ball rims in and out.
We see the Thunder trying to get those transition plays in. Lake Region seems deeply committed to the transition play, sometimes at their own peril. There were substitutions, and I have no idea what they were. There we go, a little bit more orderly fashion now.
So Wekiva off to a fast start, hot start. A rough start to this game, both teams turning the ball over, a couple of blocked shots through the first 8 combined possessions. Shots like that, actually. West shooting short, and then Wekiva caught fire, starting with Profit, dropping a couple of trays. They are 5 of 6. In their last 6 possessions, they made 5 field goals. Hammond with the steal, the withdrawal, 12-3 Wekiva.
Hammond steals 2 for the Mustangs.
And there you see why Hammond has been described as the engine by Coach Lubin. Certainly that was 8 cylinders, all working smoothly and together. So Wekiva in its traditional man-to-man defense under Lubin. The baseline drive, no dice. Lee unable to get it to drop, and Wekiva coming down with another rebound, and Hammond moving that ball up the court quickly. The finger roll, 14-3.
To the paint in transition for 2.
So Hammond averaging 8.5 points last year. He's already got 4 tonight, going with a couple of assists. Man-to-man defense by Wekiva. Hammond on the defense, hounding.
Scott almost lost his footing there. Nice job getting his balance back.
Planks off that heel, and Hampton, actually Bannister Doucette, pulling out the Windex.
He's got 3 rebounds already. We're just barely into the first quarter here. Get some subs on both sides now. Checking into the game for the Thunder, Will Collis, and for the Mustangs, Pete Lewis.
So far, Wekiva able to execute the kind of pace that Coach Lubin wants. Inbound pass, the withdrawal from number 11, Pete Lewis.
And 1.
Pete Lewis, the newcomer, making his presence felt, 16-3. So again, as I was saying, Coach Lubin, he's known for a up-tempo, fast-paced style, and after that somewhat rough start there, where a number of errors made by both teams.
3-point play is good. The foul was called against Malachi Scott, his first, the team's 3rd.
Wekiva has certainly been playing that style that Coach Lubin wants to see. Hammond pushing it quickly for most of that, at least getting in terms of beginning that fast pace. In the meantime, the tip, all kinds of pounding by Livingston, another newcomer, and now the turnover does occur. Pete Lewis gives it to Hammond. Here we go again.
Well, he comes off the bench and then immediately starts making a difference.
Yeah, a couple of defensive plays in an old-fashioned tray.
Jamaric Hammond made a mistake there, and Pete Lewis saved him. Barely avoids the 3-second call, and the Mustangs will reset. Now we've got a foul drawn as Jermaine Hardy draws contact on the attempt. Took the line and shoots for the Mustangs. Foul call against Thunder, number 34, Jabari Johnson. That's his first personal foul, the team's 4th.
And of course, Jermaine Hardy looking for his first point of the night. Guard, 5'9" sophomore, played JV last year. He is the grandson of assistant coach Charles Hardy II. Of course, those of you who are involved with Wekiva, the name Charles Hardy at least should be somewhat familiar. Coach Hardy was also the first student resource officer here at Wekiva. And now, during his retirement, has decided to help out Coach Lubin as part of the staff. So Lake Region trailing 19-3. They launch and drains the rain for
Trevin West picks up 3 for the Thunder.
So Trevin West scoring both baskets, both trades for Lake Region. On the other end, Wekiva unable to convert a couple of baskets. Pete Lewis doing some Windex work. So I know you want to score every time you take a shot, but I think Coach Lubin will be very happy if they can consistently get 2 shots on every possession.
Jermaine Hardy had some nice defensive work there, nearly picking up a 5-second call. Number 44, Jabari Johnson from West. Transition play again. West not there. Rebound goes to Pete Lewis. We're under 15 seconds left in the first quarter. Thunder continue to demonstrate their commitment to that fast break play. And we're going to get a foul. They're going to say this one's on the floor. Thunder foul against number 30, Trevin West. That's his first personal foul. The team's fifth. That's on the floor. Mustangs will get the ball at the opposing baseline.
Our first game, Apopka won by 20-plus points, and one of the key factors was fouls. This game taking on that same pace, 5 for Lake Region, as the ball is launched by Livingston out of bounds, 0.8 of a second. And so Wekiva will not be able to up the 19-8 lead. But once again, after an inconsistent and rough start by both teams, Wekiva seems to have found its legs, so to speak. And they will take a 19-8 lead into the second quarter, putting together a 5 of 8 performance since that rough start shooting from the field.
That takes us to the end of the first period, and it is an 11-point advantage for the Mustangs. 19-8 is the score at the first break here in Game 2 of the 2021 Boys Basketball Preseason Classic. We'll be back in just a moment.
Mustang Arena, the site. The home-standing Wekiva Mustangs with a 19-8 lead over the Lake Region Thunder. We begin the second quarter.
The Thunder have the opening possession of the second period.
That other voice you hear, that's Mark Barchi, who not only calls the plays, but is the public address announcer at Mustang Arena. I'm Neil Fisher.
And Malachi Scott lets the ball go out of bounds. Mustangs ball.
So, Mark, as we begin the second quarter, and Vasi Prophet, the leading scorer for Wekiva, as the long field goal, the trade no good. Lake Region brings it down. Long pass over to the other end, and off the bank.
Edward Aphanolis for 2. That was a beautiful transition play. Can't take anything away from Lake Region for that.
Nope. And that's really their first mistake that Wekiva's made, and that was where I was going. As we start the second quarter.
Foul called against number 12, Malachi Scott, his second. That's the team's 6th. Mustangs ball the opposing baseline.
Wekiva had a rough start through the first 2 minutes, the first 6 possessions or so. Since then, they've certainly found their basketball legs, so to speak, starting with a nasty defense, creating turnovers, as Hammond can't get the rain to drain. Windex work by Lake Region. We come down the other way, and Livingston just stuck his hands in and snagged that ball away, and finger rolls at the other end.
Darius Livingston steals 2 for the Mustangs.
And Mark, that's exactly what I was going to say. That looked like every other defensive play that Wekiva put together after that rough start in the first quarter. Clanks off the rim to Trey. That's Lewis with the rebound, one of the newcomers, Hammond. Sends it down into the corner, the shot. And crossing midcourt, Lake Region. Edler gets the ball swiped, and Lewis, going for the slam.
Picks up his own rebound, though, to redeem himself. He needs to grow a couple inches. He's going to get that play.
Hammond.
Jamaric Hammond is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs. Foul called against number 12, Malachi Scott, his 3rd personal foul, and the team's 7th. So, incidentally, we're only less than 2 minutes into the second quarter. This would have been a shooting foul regardless, but that is the 7th team foul for Lake Region, so that means that the Mustangs are going to go to the line every foul for the rest of the half. Hammond hits his first.
Yeah, and again, what's been facilitating those 7 fouls is the defense and just an incredibly quick pace, which Hammond has really spearheaded that pace. He doesn't make this free throw, but the score is now 22-10, as Mark said, approaching 6 minutes before halftime. Now Lake Region slows the pace down.
And you heard a collective sigh from the audience as Coach Lubin removed Pete Lewis. I'm not sure that Coach Lubin was dazzled by that dunk attempt as the crowd was. That was unnecessarily risky. A layup would have sufficed there.
Yeah, Wekiva caught a break. They had some great rebounding effort. The steal by Livingston.
He's got it.
Makes the withdrawal.
Darius Livingston steals a Mustang.
Another steal by Charles. He can't get to drain. And again, I just mentioned it, Mark, the defense. The defense has facilitated this 24-10 lead.
Ball is calling against Mustangs. Number 1, Darius Livingston, his first personal foul. The team's first.
And, to be honest, Mark, I don't mean this, I try not to be derogatory, but it just looks like Lake Region is not awake or alert. And Wekiva's taking advantage of that. We've seen half a dozen passes intercepted where the Lake Region player was just standing still. And on the other end,
Adia Charles in transition for the Mustangs.
And not only, getting back to my point about the defense in Lake Region just not looking awake and alert, they've also given up several long-distance passes, easy layups for Wekiva. 26-10 lead now.
A good look there by Charles, who nearly came up with this steal. Checking into the game with Mustangs, number 21, Vosi Prophet. Again, the speed is there for Hammond.
Drains the rain.
Jamaric Hammond steals 3.
So Hammond with 8 points now, leading scorer, 5 minutes before halftime. Another steal by Hampton, and he slammed.
Malachi Hampton with a Mustang slam dunk.
And Wekiva is scoring in bunches, and they're scoring those bunches off the turnovers. A 3rd consecutive one. And the withdrawal from Charles.
Charles on the Mustang layup.
And enough from Lake Region, 33-10, 3 consecutive steals and 7 points, upping an already double-digit lead for Wekiva.
Full timeout requested by the Thunder. Well, I think we all need to pause and catch our breath. We'll be back from Mustang Arena with the back 4:40 of the second period right after this.
Wekiva 33, Lake Region 10, 4:40 before halftime. Neil Fisher alongside Mark Barchi.
And Neil, that old cliche in basketball of being on fire would seem to apply here, that sometimes when a team gets hot, they just get hotter. And I think that Lake Region saw the writing on the wall and said, okay, we've got to throw some water on this.
Yeah, certainly we just saw the potential that Wekiva can create in terms of their explosiveness being realized. Right before the half, like I said, a double-digit lead going all the way to 23, and that's going to go up even more as Hampton.
Headings to Hampton for 2.
The withdrawal from Hampton, 35-10, another turnover, and another long pass. This time the Bannister Doucette, one of the few times Wekiva's made a mistake, and Lake Region does get an answer. Will be something they can put their hat on, so to speak. As
Brenton McKinley gets the basket and a chance to make it a 3-point play. The foul is called against number 21, Vosi Prophet. That is his first personal foul, and the team's second. Checking into the game for him is number 23, Jermaine Hardy. Thunder send in Ware Faunalis. McKinley shooting 1.
So Wekiva began this game, really both teams began with a rough start, a number of turnovers, only a couple of field goal attempts taken by each through the first 5 or 6 possessions for each, a couple of blocked shots, and then Wekiva, as you said, Mark, caught fire. They scored 8 consecutive points. Prophet draining a couple of trays to start the run as the baseline lay-in is smoothly put in by B-Lance.
Brenton McKinley for 2.
And then Wekiva since then has led, so we've seen him do it in a methodical, systematic style in terms of how they built the lead. As
Jamaric Hammond from downtown!
And then, as we're seeing now, we are in the midst of Wekiva realizing that potential in terms of the explosiveness. A 12-2 run.
Ware Faunalis on the pass to Jamarius Edler for 3.
So now, the last 3-4 minutes, Wekiva hasn't just been scoring. They've been scoring in bunches.
Pete Lewis draws the foul on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs. Foul is called against number 44, Jabari Johnson. That's his second personal foul. The team's 8th.
And so Wekiva now with a 38-17 lead. And again, Coach Lubin described Hampton as the transmission, Hammond's the engine. And in our discussion, Coach Lubin talked about Hammond he's really improved so much during the offseason, but in particular his rebounding and inside play. And he really applies to the old saying, the sum of the parts being greater than the whole. And certainly we've seen that here in the first quarter and a half. In the meanwhile, the withdrawal from Clark.
Edler makes the basket on the pass from McKinley.
Cuts the lead to 39-17. Hammond hassled, able to stay inbound. Now he'll take the ball to the baseline, kicks it out the drive to Lewis. Can't convert the withdrawal. And clearing the boards is Nadi. Quick pace again for Lake Region.
Out of bounds, Mustangs ball. So Neil, I think what we've seen so far from Lake Region is they have absolutely all of their chips in the transition game, in the fast break, in the speed. And if you can get the accuracy to match the speed, you'd be unstoppable. The problem is they're running all these high-risk, high-reward plays, and it's been biting them.
Yeah, they're trying to go high-low and not really putting anything in laterally. And the difference, again, Mark, as you just mentioned, is it's high-risk, high-reward. Wekiva looks much more ready and much more adept in terms of their skill set to play that kind of a game than Lake Region.
I mean, how many times tonight have we seen Lake Region just set up a good old-fashioned boring half-court set?
I don't think they have. And the stop to go.
Jermaine Hardy finds a lane for 2. That was too easy.
Yeah, so Hardy drops his first 2 points of the season.
Our cameraman has to get involved. We're just going to go ahead and stop the clock for that. Checking in the game for the Mustangs, number 1, Darius Livingston.
So the lead is now 41-19, 150 before halftime. Again, Wekiva, after a rough start, has exploded in terms of showing their complete range and skill set.
Hold is called against Mustangs. Number 23, Jermaine Harding. His first personal foul, his third.
And speaking of fouls, Wekiva is in the bonus. 8 have been committed by Lake Region. And again, another long outlet pass.
This time they're going to pick up the foul. Mustang foul called against number 23, Jermaine Hardy, on the push. And that is now his second personal foul, the team's fourth.
And, you know, I realize that this is a game in which, very much like the first one, as the pass is dropped down to
Ezanadi for 2.
Just the eye test, Wekiva does look like they got the better skill set, not just in terms of the quality, but the adversity. Hardy drives the lane, can't get the ball to drop. Lewis with the Windex. Hardy gets another rebound, kicks it out to Livingston, and the fourth offensive rebound. Now Hammond, the only starter in, drains the ring!
Hammond from Jermaine Hardy for 3.
44-21.
Jamaric Hammond now has 14 points tonight. I think 12 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
He's got a chance for some more. No, he's going to say, Hampton, you take it. And Hampton!
Darius Livingston for 3 from Jamaric Hammond.
Livingston makes it 47-21. So, again, real quickly, as Lake Region might have gotten away with stepping out of bounds, and with everything else going on here, why not have the ball stuck?
The ball is stuck in the rim. That is the same as a held ball or jump ball. So the possession arrow right now is pointing toward Wekiva. That's what we'll do. Meanwhile, checking into the game for the Mustangs, number 33, Emmanuel Longchamp.
So my point, Mark, is very simply as good at, I mean, you can just tell as another tray is launched, and Hardy comes down with the rebound. He makes the withdrawal. 28 seconds remaining. Okay,
basket interference. No basket. Thunder ball.
So you can tell by the eye test that Wekiva's the better team, but I don't think anybody expected to see a Wekiva team just playing as well as they have. They look good. They look coherent as a team. As we're going to get a foul. That's Profit.
Posey is behind the arc. He'll go to the line and shoot 3 for the Mustangs. Foul called against number 3, Jermaine Edler, his first personal foul.
Not only is Wekiva looking coherent and smooth, but they're doing it with such a fast pace. They look like a team that could play this fast pace for the majority of the games.
Yeah, well, and we remember, Neil, we've talked about this so much in the previous seasons where Wekiva has sometimes struggled to get to even a 500 record. We've talked about stamina, that, you know, gosh, if we would only play 3 quarters, we'd have a lot better record. And so the question is going to be, can Wekiva maintain this level of intensity for 32 minutes? So far, what we're seeing looks promising.
Profit with 8 points now. And that's what I mean. It's not just the fact that they've come out and played this. You just get the feel that this is not just something they're doing because it's the first game and they've had their emotions bottled up. This looks like a team. Now, again, I don't expect them to keep being quite as explosive as this game in the season wears on, but they certainly look like they can sustain a reasonable level compared to what they have. 10 seconds remaining. Hammond, top of the key. Wekiva looking to up that 28-point lead. 3 seconds, got to get rid of it. Livingston does, and he drains the ring!
Darius Livingston!
And
puts the icing on the first half, and the Mustangs will go into the locker room with a 52-21 lead over the Thunder.
And as Mark just said, with a 52-21 lead, if you're Coach Lubin and the rest of the staff, you can't ask for a more perfect first half. Wekiva scoring 8 consecutive, and then they put together 3 other runs of at least 8 points, 15 plus turnovers forced on Lake Region, and we go into halftime with Wekiva. First half performance, authoritative and commanding.
Well, we're going to pause, catch our breaths. We'll take a quick break here at Mustang Arena. We'll be back in less than 10 minutes, ready to take you through the second half and see if the Mustangs can sustain the level of energy and intensity they have opened up this preseason classic game 2. Back from Mustang Arena shortly. Welcome back to Mustang Arena. We are ready to get going with the second half as Wekiva is lighting up the Thunder so far, outscoring them 52-21. My name is Mark Barchi, voice of the Mustangs, sports information director and public address announcer here at Wekiva, joined by Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief, and the Thunder will have the opening possession of the third period.
Yeah, the score is 52-21. Wekiva scored the first 8 points after a rough start, and we have seen Wekiva, in terms of the style, complete both sides. And again, I was going to mention the turnovers, 20 for Lake Region. Wekiva, probably the first quarter and a half, after they took that 8-point lead and then built it to double digits, really was working mostly in the half-court set. They were moving the ball up and down the court quickly, but then they would settle into the half-court set. The last 4 or 5 minutes of the first half, it was explosive, exactly what we're seeing now, transitions up and down the court, and they were not missing any of their shots. And once again, those transition opportunities were facilitated by 20 Lake Region turnovers, Wekiva committing only 6. This is Charles, kicks it out to Profit, who in less than a year has gone from JV to starter. Hand off to Hammond, the leading scorer with 14. He drives the lane and makes the withdrawal.
Jamalik Hammond opens up scoring for the second half.
And that ups the lead to 55-21. Looking at the other stats, of course, Wekiva, again, with 20 turnovers, created 37 field goal opportunities. They made 18 for a 49%. Short, and Hampton does some more Windex work. Long outlet pass to Lewis. Can't get the ball to drop after kissing the glass. And Wekiva will have to wait a little bit longer before we go into that running clock.
Well, probably should have had that one. That was a good one.
The other key stat is free throws. Wekiva went to the lane free throw stripe 7 out of 12 times. Lake Region took 1 and missed it. So again, turnover is really the story, 20-6 in favor of Wekiva. Not a tremendous amount in terms of those turnovers being translated into field goal attempts. Only a 12 field goal attempt difference, but they're much easier field goal attempts. 49-36 is the percentage. And so another rebound for Wekiva. Now they'll settle down. Again, 35-point lead in the second half establishes a running clock. We are at 34, just under 6 minutes into the third quarter. This is the first game for both teams. It is preseason. This game is 1 of 4, making up the Wekiva Boys Basketball Preseason Classic, being played from Mustang Arena. Wekiva's home. 2 more games will be played on Thursday. Hammond trying to get the kiss off the glass. So Wekiva will have to wait again. And they'll get a quick opportunity in terms of moving that ball back up. Not much time wasted before they get another opportunity to get that running clock established. Profit. Oh, the underneath move. No. Bannister Doucette with the rebound. No. Some more kissing the glass. Some mighty Windex work being done by Wekiva as a team. 4 rebounds. I believe
that takes them up to 11 offensive rebounds. So they just hit double digits there. And now we're going to go to the line as Avia Charles draws the foul. He'll be shooting 2 of the Mustangs. That's his first personal foul and the team's first of this half.
So a quick look at the clock, because we are bordering on a running clock. Next week, of course, is the Metro versus Florida Challenge. Wekiva that is hosted by Apopka. They will be playing OPC, Orlando Preparatory Christian.
Orlando Christian Prep.
Orlando Christian Prep.
And that is probably one of the toughest draws that they could have taken.
Yeah, OCP has won multiple, at least 5 state championships in the last 8 years at the Class 1A or 2A level, and we are in a running clock. Wekiva will then return home on the 29th to play University, followed by actually 3 consecutive home games after University: Windermere, Lake Buena Vista, and then Dr. Phillips. So that's your first 2 weeks. Wekiva
West picks up 3.
So Wekiva certainly with an opportunity.
Answered by 3 for the Mustangs from Vosi Profit.
So Wekiva certainly an opportunity to be over 500 after the first 5 games. Of course, they would have to keep playing as well as they are here. The shot, the tray, off the heel, clanks off. So more cleaning the glass by Wekiva. This is Hampton. He stopped, pops short. Ball comes out to number 44, Kendall, and Lake Region comes down the other way. So 4 minutes remaining. We are in a running clock, a 35-point lead.
Checking in for the Mustangs, number 1, Darius Livingston.
Neil Fisher alongside Mark Barchi. Mark is also doing public address duties. And Keith Dickinson handling the director responsibilities for the broadcast production department, who handle the video aspects. All those fine shots, all that camera work is being done by the students here at Wekiva under Keith Dickinson's direction and tutelage. And so now at the other end, Bannister Doucette, short. Region with the ball on the baseline. That's called. Kicks it back out to West. Hounded by Hammond, going one-on-one on the defense. Coach Lubin was very complimentary of Hammond's defense, but in this case it's going to be Hammond. Slams the ball home.
Malachi Hampton steals a Mustang dunk. And that was a little bit foolish by Eisenaddy there. He took a really dangerous pass thinking he was trying to avoid a backcourt violation. He didn't need to, though, because it was tipped by Hampton, so you can't get a backcourt call on that. Doesn't matter, though.
And Wekiva continued to execute with explosiveness. Not even a second before that ball got into Hampton after the steal, and Hampton got down in about 2 seconds. 61-24 is the lead. Wekiva in front. Welcome back to Mustang Arena. 2:43 remaining in this game. Wekiva a 61-24 lead. They've led from about 2 minutes in, scoring the first 8 points, and they certainly made a statement tonight. Obviously, they're probably not going to continue to play as well as they have tonight, but they have certainly shown that they have potential, and they understand how to realize that potential. And Jameric Hammond now on defense against Lake Region number 3. Over 20 turnovers for Lake Region. That has helped Wekiva, certainly facilitated an over 50% percentage from the field.
Foul ball against number 0, Malachi. That is first, team's first. And yeah, Neil, to your point, I mean, I'll eat my hat and paint your house if Wekiva is beating Orlando Christian Prep 61-24 next week, as we get a 3-point basket from Trevin West. But that being said, I think a lot of casual fans who may have seen that as the first game on the schedule and went, oh no, not a chance, are now maybe taking a second look at that. Like, hey, Wekiva could be competitive in that game.
Yeah, and I have to admit, you know, I cover Wekiva for the Apopka Chief. I go to their practice as Hammond.
Jameric Hammond, Mustang layup.
And I'm very surprised. I'm not surprised Wekiva's winning. I'm just surprised that they're playing so well. Very few mistakes. I wouldn't say they've made more than a handful. And again, this has really, the headline has been the explosiveness. This game started off Oh, look at that. Speaking of explosiveness.
Darius Livingston with a long-distance dedication from Isaiah Bannister.
And there's the perfect example. This was more of a systematic building of the lead, and then like the last quarter and a half, it has just been all explosive. What we just saw there, that transition, quick passes, tic-tac-toe, precision.
I mean, keep in mind, 52 points in 2 quarters, that's typical of an NBA score. They played 4 more minutes a quarter.
So this is Bannister Doucette. He commits the foul. Oh, actually, it was a travel.
Yeah, his pivot foot slid there. He was trying to avoid it, but he got caught.
But I wanted to talk about Jamerick Hammond. We've talked about him all night because of his plays. The leading scorer with 18. Wekiva has 4 players with at least 8 points. As the trade is lost
by number 12, Malachi Scott.
So I've mentioned a couple of times that Coach Lubin refers to Hammond as the engine, but he has just improved so much. You can see that in his play, in the stats, as the trade from Bannister Doucette does not drop. Charles, though, with the sweet-looking fadeaway from 12 feet.
Charles with a second chance bucket for the Mustangs.
But underlying Hammond's improvement in terms of his skill and stats, he just looks physically much better. He looks bigger, better conditioned. His endurance has improved. And that'll do it for the third quarter.
Offensive charge is called against number 30, Trevor West, his second personal foul, the team's second. That would turn the ball over to the Mustangs, although that takes us to the end of the third period. And so we'll go to our final break of tonight. Fourth quarter coming back to wrap up Game 2 of the 2021 Wekiva Boys Basketball Preseason Classic.
Welcome back to Mustang Arena for the fourth and final quarter of the preseason classic, wrapping up the first night of the 2021 Wekiva Boys Basketball Edition.
The Mustangs have the opening possession of the fourth quarter.
And Wekiva with a 67-30 lead. We are in a running clock. The clock will not stop unless the timeout is called. Wekiva has dominated from the beginning, and they continue as the rain is drained.
Mostly profit from Darius Livingston for 3.
And Profit, who began his career at JV as a freshman last year, now has 13 points. The drive, the pickup, score the basket for Calde, plus 1.
Picks up the basket and a chance to make it a 3-point play.
So Wekiva surged in front to an 8-0 lead, and Profit, who drained the rain on the other end, got that started with a pair of trays. Wekiva got that lead up to 12. As we come back the other way, and then the last quarter and a half, it has just been an explosive Wekiva all-around game. 20 over 30 turnovers for Lake Region has facilitated a over 50% field goal percentage for Wekiva, and they have upped that lead to the running clock over 35 from what was initially 12.
30-second timeout requested by the Mustangs. We'll take a quick break with them. We'll be right back.
Wekiva 70, Lake Region 32. We are finishing a timeout here. This is the fourth quarter, the second game of the 2021 Wekiva Men's Basketball Preseason Classic. Neil Fisher along with Mark Barchi on the call. thank you for joining us. Has not been much of a game drama-wise in terms of competition, but Wekiva continues to build that lead and is definitely making a statement. This is from the corner. Drain the rain for Emmanuel
basket for Emmanuel.
Long. And so everybody continues to get in on the scoring mark. And now Wekiva, the chant of defense from both the bench in the stands comes up. Of course, I think they're a little late on that. It's always nice to get the sound and the fans in, but they've been playing defense the whole game.
Palming.
Again,
Thunderball.
Again, 30-plus turnovers committed by Lake Region. And look, even if you're not playing your best basketball, your best offense, you don't commit 30 turnovers on your own. The defense has something to do with that. So the clock continues to run, 73-32. The first shot from Clark, that cuts the lead down. Again, making his presence felt, going down the rebound. So Wekiva back on offense. All the starters have been taken out by Coach Lubin. Long champ over to Hardy. Excuse me, number 34 is actually Griffin. And Wekiva will not score this time. 4.5. Hardy with the interception, but he can't keep it in bounds. So
he gives it right back there to Edler. And so the Thunder now are going to draw a foul. Foul against Mustangs, number 32.
So Wekiva with 4 players scoring at least 10 points. Wekiva with 4 players scoring at least 10 points tonight, led by Jameer Hammond, who dropped 18. And the roll, no good. And Griffin, using that frame of his to pull down his second consecutive rebound as he dropped into 4 minutes. Once again, Wekiva will come out Thursday and finish the second game as Griffin can't get the withdrawal. That will complete their preseason game. They will be playing Pine Ridge as Griffin pulls down a 3rd consecutive rebound. And Griffin.
Joshua Griffin from Darius Livingston.
So a couple of newcomers putting together a basket for Wekiva. 3:10 remaining, 75-33. And so the regular season then begins with the Metro versus Florida Classic. Wekiva will be playing Orlando Christian Prep on Wednesday afternoon.
Edler calling attention to the line to the Thunder. That's just his first personal foul. And it's the team's 5th.
That game against Orlando Christian Prep, which is part of the Metro versus Florida Challenge. That is I believe, a 3 p.m. tip-off.
First free throw is good. And Neil, with that most recent basket by Joshua Griffin, every Mustang is in the scorebook for points except one, and it's not who you think it is. It's Isaiah Bannister. He's the only one who doesn't have points, but he's been a huge factor in other ways for the Mustangs.
So to close out our conversation about the Metro versus Florida Challenge as we get a timeout from Lake Region, Tune into that. Go to that website. And Mark and I will be broadcasting. We will be on the call
Timeout,
for those
Thunder.
games. For those games, the Metro versus Florida Challenge is 24 games next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8 each day. When we return, Wekiva will be looking to close out a 75-35 victory. And welcome back to Mustang Arena, home of Wekiva, who currently enjoys a 75-35 lead. The last 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Lake Region, the opponent. This is the 2021 Wekiva Men's Basketball Preseason Classic. Made a mistake before we went to the break. Was talking about the tip-off for next week's game. Wekiva taking on Orlando Christian Prep as part of the Metro versus Florida Challenge over at Apopka High School. That game actually will tip off at 4:30.
Pete Lewis is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs.
And Wekiva
Foul
then
is called against number 30, Trevin West. His third, the team's third.
Wekiva will then return home after the Metro versus Florida Challenge. 4 straight games. University on the 29th, Windermere on December 1st, Lake Buena Vista on December 3rd, Dr. Phillips on December 8th. So again, Wekiva, a very dominating performance. Unlike the first game, which Apopka defeated Pine Ridge by a 20-plus score, that was a very commanding and authoritative victory by Apopka. This has been dominating from the beginning. Wekiva unable to score on the first 4 or 5 possessions, a very rough start, but you never really felt like Wekiva was going to fall behind. It was more of like what they were doing, what they weren't doing, as opposed to what Pine Ridge or Lake Region was doing, as we're now under a minute.
Out of bounds, Mustangs ball. Trevin West there tripped on his shoelaces.
Vasi Prophet began the scoring, dropping a tray. Wekiva scored in the first 8 points as the withdrawal from Hardy.
Pete Lewis from Darius Livingston.
Wekiva got that lead up to about 15 midway through the second quarter. A very systematic, methodical play in terms of Wekiva scoring out of the half-court set. A lot of passing in the half-court, but they were moving the ball up and down quickly getting into that half-court set. And all of that then blossomed, grew into, developed into just an explosive performance, forcing over 30 turnovers and shooting 50%, facilitated by those 30-plus turnovers. They had 4 runs of at least 8 points tonight, and your final score is 78-35.
That takes us to the end of the ballgame. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out to support your Mustang and Thunder athletes tonight. Thanks also to those of you who joined us on our live broadcast on YouTube or the NFHS network. Make sure you subscribe before you go. The same 4 teams are going to play on Wednesday nights. We're just going to switch around who's playing who. So Lake Region will play Apopka at 6 p.m. and then the Mustangs will host Pine Ridge at 7:30 to cap off games 3 and 4 of our 2021 Wekiva Preseason Classic and get us into Season 15. Once again, thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel tonight. Make sure you subscribe before you go. Also want to offer our thanks to Keith Dickerson and his program at Wekiva Broadcast Production. Thanks to everyone who was a part of bringing you this coverage tonight and will continue to do so all season long. For Neil Fisher, this is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and Sports Information Director here at Wekiva High School. Wishing you a good night, and we will see you back here on Thursday. On Wednesday. This has been a presentation of Wekiva High School in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of Orange County Public Schools. Good night from Mustang Arena.